Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chicago Reacts. My name is Kelsey. I am a voice actor in Chicago, and today I will be reacting to so excited about this one. Can you beat Spider-Man for PS4 without taking damage by Senza? And this was suggested by Luigi Campo. Thank you so much for suggesting this because I am so excited about this. I love stuff like this. Like, oh, can you do this game or this thing without doing X, Y, and Z? And it's just like, it gets so silly sometimes. And like, it can either be super silly or super like interesting to watch, you know? Like, how are you going to do this? So that's a great suggestion. Thank you, Luigi. Yeah, I've never seen or heard of this Senza character before, but I see that their little profile picture is the handsome Squidward, but like a Dragonite. I think that's what it looks like. So I'm into that. I like them already. So yeah, can't wait to see how this handsome Squidward Dragonite avoids damage.
The recently released Spider-Man hit a new standard for superhero games. Insomniac perfected the formula and tapped into the erotic roleplay fantasy people of all ages have dreamt of. With Miles Morales around the corner, I thought why not attempt a challenge on a game with arguably the most convenient source of superhero sustenance. Can you beat Marvel's Spider-Man without taking damage? After hearing that, I'm sure all of your expressions switched from excitement to fear, worrying for my mental stability and safety.
Literally.
To add to this no damage torture, I will be playing on the game's hardest difficulty, Ultimate. This mode gives enemies more health, Spider-Man less damage, and little time to dodge incoming attacks, making my enemies a formidable foe that can read me like a book and spread my cheeks just like its pages. The run will be simple. If I take any sort of damage, even a bee's dick worth, I must restart the current checkpoint. I also do want to mention that I am not the only mortal to partake in such a crusade. After recording the gameplay, I discovered that this man here also forfeited his happiness privileges. He is the first to do so, and an honorable mention to say the least. But this is our journey, and our turn to indulge in the masochism. Will I enjoy this incredibly relaxing and tame experience that after experiencing it, I will never want to again? Or will my enemies serve me cold diarrhea and a broken Dixie cup? Let's find out. For those of you viewers that are fortunate enough to not follow America's hipster metric system, you may be surprised, but this game's story was inspired by modern-day New York. Gang violence, drug deals, and men in skin-tight suits threaten the pedestrians of this brutal city on a daily basis. The only thing that this place was missing was some good old Garfield cart and anime titties. We play as Peter Parker, or as many of you know him, Spider-Man, a vigilante with an exceptional addiction to cleaning up the streets and the intrinsic ability to bring stuck porn to a whole nother level. As you can see here in our first presentation,
I saw something about Roblox channel and that. I don't know what's going on, but I don't want to go back.
These animals were catching up on their daily quota of being an absolute dickhead, but this is where I come in. With my athletic specimen, state-of-the-art non-lethal spider webs, and defiant I thought that I was ready, and I was wrong. Spider-Man PS4 does a good job at telling you when enemies are going to attack. This feature will be our saving grace and what carries us through this crusade. But sometimes, even this tool won't save us from the delicacy that is the fine art of fisting. In the first area alone, I wiped 24 times. You would think that this run would be easy, especially since I have a button that clearly allows me to become invincible on a single press. But sanity and getting my ass pounded in are mutually exclusive commodities. If I wanted to complete this challenge, I had to choose. Unfortunately, you are forced to take damage in the tutorial, and this is the part where I make the joke that the video is now over and you can't beat the game without taking damage. So just like in life, when your bully or coworker embarrasses you in front of everybody, we're just going to ignore it and move on. Up ahead, I learned another skill that will be very useful this run. When I fill this bar with the tears of widows that just lost their husbands, I could perform a high damage attack on anyone of my choosing. amazing. This right here was massive because not only does it allow me to instantly take out an enemy, but any damage I am about to receive is immediately negated. 53
Perfect.
phone calls to my local cemetery for quick reservations, and I finally made it to Fisk. That massive, hulking, and powerful force chased my petite little body around the arena, but I had spidey webs, and these bad boys were the catalyst for the hemorrhoids that lay dormant inside this poor man's sphincter. To survive the second stage of this fight, aerial combat was my only option. Fisk could hit me with a boulder from 2 postal codes away, and his henchmen were slapping my cheeks so hard that shit sounded like a screenshot. But after taking my time, using the environment and an additional 23 resets...
23!
I actually took... Holy
I was able to beat the tutorial and put a pause to my masochism. I know. After that victory, world leaders have announced peace, women are throwing themselves at me, and Danny DeVito is in my DMs. But this shit wasn't over till the fat lady comes. We still have more work to do. Fisk was now headed to the slammer, and that meant that my pain would subside for but a moment. Dr. Octavius, my boss, called me to his lab to witness what seemed to be his attempt at plundering in the ancient secrets that is tentacle technology. Clearly, he wasn't very knowledgeable on the subject because that shit crashed and burned in nearly a second. After completing a session of baby's first vigilante lessons, it was time to head back to the lab and fix my suit. Thanks to Dr. Octavius's design, my new suit brought stat increases to my dominance skill. And just like an addict, I craved getting back out there to fold some faces in. Yuri spoke of a place that I could satisfy this craving, a place where there was no government oversight for being fisted to death. Even with the new gadget that I had obtained, there was no one here getting their faces folded in but me, and I was receiving far more than the daily dosage. I'm sure many of you may be thinking, wow, I hate Senza. Why doesn't he take the more stealthy, exceptionally slower approach? And to that I say, f*** you. My stubborn ass was actually enjoying this pain. With the horde of middle-aged overworked men that were forced to do labor they didn't want to taken care of, my odyssey was just beginning, and this tale was going to rival that of Shakespeare's Hamlet as one of the best animes of all time. Because of life, my power fantasy had to come to a brief halt. It was time to cosplay as Peter Parker and attend my aunt's birthday party. Enjoyment isn't a commodity that we could have though, so it was time to get back to work. Not long out in the open world, I was contacted by Mary Jane on a potential group of baddies that have pioneered the term being a dickhead. Upon forcibly making my way in, or as others call it, breaking and entering, I protected these fools from themselves in the safe confines of this air vent, and then was forced into something I didn't consent to, playing as Mary Jane.
Why? Ah!
Being added is merely an exclusive bonus to those that are interested in monotonous filled gameplay. I won't be covering this part because it's literally an uninspired, glorified sneak mission. But I think I would take the sneak mission over a fight club that was full of men that enjoyed getting fisted. 26 resets in this gulag, and I seem to be a delicate...
Even though it's not, like, the Mary Jane part is clearly not his favorite, it's gotta be a nice break from 26 resets.
Cuisine for these cultured men. But thanks to some good old asphyxiation by spiderwebs, I made it out and was immediately rewarded for my hard work. A cameo from the illustrious Stan Lee and a pseudo-legendary boss fight. The shocker was just an insufferable douchebag who so happened to be on the really big stinky asshole department's payroll. This was merely just a chase mission that had evolved for the much more intelligent gamer, just like ourselves. Press triangle here and the occasional circle button there. This right here was content, baby. I fucking loved it. I was starting to get so good at this run that there was actually no fight involved. The shocker was put into the slammer, but something was missing. A lot of time, money, research, and manpower has been put into making this run happen. Any viewer with an above average IQ watching this video would know that something has been missing. A variable that is vital to the Spider-Man equation. We needed more Toby. The plan here was simple. In order to beat the game without getting hit, we needed to tap into the memes that everyone loves dearly. A piece of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, which is the best Spider-Man by the way, with us along in this journey. Insomniac's generosity knows no bounds. The inventors of big dick energy and the light that guides you through your parents' divorce. Sam Raimi's suit is available in the game. And although this may seem like a paid promotion, you need this suit if you want to make it through this challenge. With With this historical anomaly now in my grasp, it was time to make New York proud in the name of our Lord, Tobey Maguire. Putting
There he
Fisk
is,
behind
emo
bars was beginning
Spider-Man.
to set off a chain of events. The shocker was loose yet again, and he was about to face the negative ramifications of being a Class C supervillain. With the power of charming Toby and these police officers that were clearly in some sort of vegetative state, this villain was going to be matched with a
They just
worthy
wanna go
opponent.
home.
This fight is relatively the easiest one of the entire run. The greatest threat here wasn't the man that seemed to be using propelled flatulence as a weapon. It was actually my boomer ass not having the hand-eye coordination to dodge his easily telegraphed attacks. The shocker faced the harsh reality of losing a 1v1 with a man that has gaming skills comparable to an arthritic grandmother. Now, before we start the next mission, it was imperative to check on the current standings of the law enforcement that were outside.
How are they doing?
Okay, all right, guys, the party's over. we can pack up and go home, guys. Yeah, this is fucking awkward.
An infiltration of a shipyard owned by Fisk was next on the bucket list, and my superior sneaking skills was something that was going to aid in this conquest. Inside, I was assisted by Jefferson Davis, a police officer, and just overall Omega Chad of a human being. With the help of expertly engineered ESP wall hacks, we discovered that the demons were actually peddling photos of William Fisk's feet and dealing them around in some sort
you
of black
hate to
market
see
for
it.
feet pics. By the way, yes. This is canon to Marvel's Spider-Man. The demons outside had purchased a one-way ticket to mating with my fist. But let me not deceive you guys. This was going to be a painful tour de France for both sides of the equation. A few dozen resets due to me having a small brain, and after being hired as a superhero to do some cool superhero shit, the great and merciful Jefferson Davis decided that he would do my job better than I could and saved my life. This next part was painful, and
Spider-Man
sitting
needs a
bare
hero,
ass on
you know?
an entire fire ant colony would have been far more enjoyable than experiencing this atrocity. I had to clear out sections of demons that had invaded a construction building. Spider-Man's life was like a nail in a piece of wood. He was getting pounded over and over, but now he had to deal with a new type of hammer, the thick boy. Not
The
only
thick
do these
boy.
men
Oh,
fulfill
look at
that
him.
secret fantasy
Look at
of
that
crushing
thick
your
boy.
skull with massive thighs, but
Ouchie.
they are also great at giving you a run for your brain cells. Our internet overlord
I
PewDiePie
freaking
would
bet.
have been pleased with the
Oh
amount
my
of barrels I used to
Look
take this
at
man down. Insert epic scene of me saving New York citizens from impending destruction, and then immediately after insert another to show that not even an autistic savant such as myself could save everyone. This was a massive L. Not only did our boy Davis take one for the team, but now I had to play as future Spider-Man,
Rip.
just without any powers, and all I could do was move my left stick forward until I hit an inevitable cutscene. I'll warn those of you
Again,
now,
a
this
break
next
from
scene
taking
isn't very
damage,
family friendly
maybe?
in the nature of YouTube's current landscape. Your boy Senza was getting absolutely defiled, a sight not meant to be beheld by mortal eyes. While finding out the next public attack for the group of hot boys named the Demons, I was forced into a group gangbang. To complete this encounter, my methods were barbaric, but I had to speak to these dingleberries in a language that they knew: violence. Mysterious soldiers tied me
You
up
gotta.
BDSM style, and it turns out that there was a new sheriff in town, Silver Sable,
Spider-Man's
sent here with her
ass
army of
is the
simps
new
to
sheriff
protect
in
Mayor
town,
Osborn
apparently,
at all
according to
costs.
that shot.
That basically meant more future headaches to deal with, but I had nothing to lose and all of my sanity to give. Aunt May's boss was the leader of the Demons, the terrorist group responsible for my pain and the pounds of hemorrhoid cream that have been applied to my anus. It was clear that Martin Lee knew that I was Spider-Man and that he really wanted to get into my panties. On the other side of this clusterfuck of a story, Dr. Otto made yet another breakthrough in his invention. Though after it failed immediately, it was clear that he didn't understand this was God's confirmation to give up and for him to sell his body on the streets of New York. After some riveting and exhilarating gameplay, I was given an entree meal of even more fun, an MJ sneak mission, the best possible sneak mission you could get on the sneak mission market. Again, nothing really happened. I was only here to be a nuisance to these poor men that clearly already hated their lives. In reality, we were the supervillains. While MJ was off ruining lives one toolbox at a time, the CFO of Oscorp was being bullied by the heretic group, the Demons. In a perfect world, we'll say that his rescue went flawlessly, and I didn't get hit a single time. But this isn't a perfect world. Shark
not.
Tale 2 still hasn't been announced yet. In due time, the CFO was saved, but no one
I
had the the decency to tell me that the demons got an 11 kill streak and called in a chopper gunner. A little bit of that sweet quick time action to put some hair on your chest and feeling like a superhero. Things were finally shaping up for me. And hey, I even got to attend my first party. Like I said earlier though, there was no time for enjoyment. I was on a hunt. The group of wet-brained degenerates were here to find another member of Oscorp, and this guy was a big deal. Even with my ever-expanding arsenal of tools, I was still getting passed around like the Rona, and this shit honestly just wasn't fun anymore. As if the overwhelming masculinity wasn't enough, guns were given to these apes. A fun and innovative addition to the game. Fun as in I fucking hate my life for even attempting this challenge. Grandpa was found,
sounds like a
but
bad
it was
time.
apparent that Martin Lee...
It sounded like a bad time to begin with, but like, it's just continuing to seem like an even worse and worse time. But gotta hand it to you. You're sticking to it, bud.
Already got to him.
I would have quit.
Back at the Chum Bucket, Dr. Otto has made great progress with the soon-to-be cosplay. He claimed its purpose was to benefit unfortunate disabled folk. But we're not stupid. We both know that this man will be using it to spread my cheeks in approximately the next 6 story missions. A bit of training with the lead protagonist of the next Spider-Man game.
I love teaching a robot to juggle.
And being forced under the jurisdiction of monotony, I was now ready for what is arguably the biggest mound of shit I have ever had to sift through. Martin Lee was terrorizing New York, and a biological weapon named Devil's Breath was in his possession. The 24 resets at the beginning of this fight weren't too special. Learning from my mistakes and quickly finding alternatives was the name of the game. But the demons were going to need a lot more than luck and overwhelming force to rival me. Catching up to Lee's vehicle, it was time to experience the true bliss of masculine subversion. Lee threw me into a dream realm, and he had his army commanded to perpetually blast steaming diarrhea down my throat. Surprisingly, a popular trend that has started to pick up in the supervillain community. The sheer amount of enemies being thrown my way was almost impossible to deal with. Gadgets and that little cheese I told you all about earlier was going to be my only option. Nearing around 64 resets, I started to develop a tactic.
64.
Start off with any offense gadget, and then focus take down someone immediately afterwards. This will refill your empty gadgets and allow you to rinse and repeat until they are all dead. But it was either this or the more healthy alternative, a shot glass of bleach. After completing the encounter that was only placed into this game to cause me migraines, it turns out I went through all that pain for nothing. Martin Lee unfortunately got away with WMD and my tears in possession. Clinging to the last ounce of sanity I had left, I was tested once more with another MJ mission. Grand Central Station was being overrun by demons, and they wanted one thing and one thing only: pictures of Mayor Osborn's feet. This mission was actually kind of neato mosquito and wasn't too much of a hassle to get through. We get to command Spidey and watch him hop up into their DMs one by one. No single man was safe. Even the demons knew of it. They saw their men get taken, but they chose to forget, acted like they didn't even see it happen.
Listen, I'm sure they're not being paid well. They're just like, if I see one more person, that amount of paperwork they probably would have to file. I get it, man. They're just like, oh, not worth it. Maybe I'll see Fred later. Maybe I won't. Maybe he'll have a story to tell me, but I'm not doing that paperwork right now. And then it happens to them.
Why are we still here?
I was now in control of Spider-Man, and after some sneaky combat, it was time to chase after Martin Lee and humbly have a toast to his asshole's future well-being when he finally gets thrown into the slammer. All this fight involved was a few well-timed dodges and a quick dance here and there. 10 minutes later and a few resets, Martin Lee was taken care of. Stability had finally returned to New York until I discovered that Dr. Otto had finally ascended. He had reached his true form.
He did it. The robot's not just juggling anymore.
God of all that is obscure fetishes. But hey, that's okay. It's not like he's going to... Oh, fuck.
Uh-oh. See ya.
All my life, I've always seemed to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, answering questions no one has ever asked, and taking hits for the boys just to make them smile. Already at 484 resets, I thought this was over, but I was far from it. To give you guys a little insight on what was going on, the maximum security prison had just...
Also, in addition to that being annoying, to have to reset that many times, like, this guy's keeping track of his resets. Like, I would have lost count. Unless there's like a counter that tells you how many resets you've done, but like why would that be a thing? I don't know. That's just like double the pain right there.
Received a metaphorical abortion, and every single villain I have thrown in there has escaped. About 43 resets just getting into this place, and bam, here I was. The horrifying Dr. Otto had assembled his team of Aspergers to put an end to Mayor Osborn and spread the malware known as Devil's Breath amongst New York. In the crossfire of it all, poor Aunt May even decided to hop in on the fun and get a whiff of the new hip opioid these villains were going on about. There wasn't too much to follow up on during these little side missions. I wiped a total of 66 times and was sitting at 551 resets. To finish up this video and to save you guys from some potential really bad commentary, I will be touching up on the final boss fights of the game, as I am sure mentioning every single encounter will eventually grow monotonous. So throw on your tights and grab a Go-Gurt, because we got some spanking to take care of. Vulture and Electro were the first 2 boss fights on the list. These were my children and I was their Tard Wrangler. With a solid 10 resets, I was able to take care of these 2 buffoons and treat their mental illnesses with my good old therapeutic meat hammer. After the first 2 goons were taken care of, Rhino and Scorpion should consider themselves noticed, because they were on my death note. Although normally I solve any and all conflicts I have with another individual through a 1v1 sparring match on Def Jam Fight for New York, things were going to be a little different with this one. Again, these boys were going to fight me dirty, 2v1 style. This alone was going to lead to the deterioration of my PS4 circle button, but I had a prophecy I must fulfill. There was no room for error. With 48 resets and watching Rhino one-hit KO suplex Scorpion, I bested these fools, and I could smell that W. I could smell that I was nearing the end of this run. There was one more boss to take care of before I could hit Dr. Otto. At this point in the game, movement at all times was needed. A split second late on a dodge, your enemy's attacks were on a Lord of the Rings one-way journey to your ass cheeks to spread them. My second and last tussle with Martin Lee was a breath of fresh air. His attacks were easily telegraphed, and there were even checkpoints during the fight to make sure that Daddy was there to hold your hand. This was honestly the easiest fight, and I was able to take him down, thus ending the secret underground black market rink of feet picks, and finally leaving us with one last boss. A prelude to the fight ahead, Tentacle Man barged in, touched me with his rat hands in places that I didn't consent to, and then took the serum to Devil's Breath. According to my scouting levels, he was far powerful than I was, so I was going to have to make a devastating decision of leaving Toby and his glorious memes behind for something that could rival his power. I was here to end this and bring a stop to Otto's reign of unending terror. With 18 resets already tallied, there I was, swinging around the arena at a comfortable 18.2 kilometers per hour, clenching as tight as I could, making sure I didn't get hit, and hurling rocks like a Neanderthal, slowly reaching to my goal of ending this crusade. When his first phase was done, we proceeded to fistfight each other on the side of the building for an epic finale. During this sequence, I did reset and die a few times, but let's not talk about that. 744 resets. You can beat Super Mario Odyssey without taking damage. Although this was a massive L because Aunt May ends up dying to the Devil's Breath in the end, at least I was able to make it through a challenge without actually physically breaking anything. Shout out to you guys for being perfect and enjoying my terrible attempts at making you all smile. It really means a lot to me that you made it till the end. If you did, comment hashtag feet pics so I can heart your comment. For those curious, I've been busy working on the conclusion to the Power Glove trilogy, Doom Eternal with the Power Glove. Sorry for the late upload, and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you to the DBG chairman, and I love every single one of you. See you guys in the next one.
Man. You know, Senza, you said sorry for the terrible attempts at making you smile. That's not a terrible, that attempt was only terrible for you. It was entertaining to watch because there's no way I'm ever doing that. It just seems like a bad time. But you did that. You did that, and I hope you it taught you something, even if that's I'm never gonna do that in any game again. Go through without taking damage. Cannot even imagine trying to do that in any game, truly. But you did it. You're a legend. Thanks for making this video, and thank you to Luigi Campo for suggesting this. It was a great video, and thank you all for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you next time.